I basically have a pool in my house. This is the catwalk.
Got your own stairwell here.
Yeah. Look at this guy surface feed.
Yeah.
Watch this.
So funny.
It's so sick.
Anderson. So this dude here is the godfather of the reef hobby here in Utah. If it weren't for Dave, there's no way I would be reefing in Utah. Dave was actually the guy who came over and helped me get my first saltwater tank here in Utah started. We did that till like 1 a.m. by the way. I don't know if you remember that.
It was worth it.
That was extremely kind. So today we're going to highlight his 5,600 gallon setup. It's actually a little bigger than 5,600 gallons. Dave also has a YouTube channel. You should go and subscribe to his channel as he's showcasing this tank almost on, I feel like on a weekly basis. Dave, where can the guys find you?
So I got a YouTube channel. It's Anderson Family Reef. So if you just look up Anderson Family Reef, it's been a joint effort from all the kids, so they get a little credit there. But I got step-by-step videos of how I put it together, how I built it. Everything I do is DIY, so it's been a fun adventure.
And honestly, I'm just going to turn the camera and showcase him and let him do all the talking, because honestly, this guy's just like a fountain of knowledge in this hobby. So let's jump into this and ask Dave some questions. So how long have you had this tank with fish, with corals in it? And actually walk us through the stages, because I know that you didn't just throw your fish in here or the corals. Oh, yeah. You kind of cycled it. So how long has it been up and running, and what phase did you go?
A year to build it, and then we filled it with water and water tested it with koi and sturgeon. That was kind of fun. And then once it held water and did really good, I said I wasn't going to finish up against it until I got there. Now we're a year and a half later and everything's fine still, which is rad, but now I can feel comfortable finishing the side. But we went from just freshwater water test to fish only. We just moved some of the big fish that I didn't care too much about, so it's like this guy, this rabbit fish and some other things.
Who's now one of the fish that's eaten some of those corals in there, right?
I was hoping he might not make it, but there he is. If you don't like the fish, he's gonna live forever. So, but so we did that for just a little while. Once those fish did really well, I started moving stuff over, and then I started putting like simple stuff like softies, mushrooms, some anemones, some different things in here to just kind of get it seasoned. And when those took off, even the zinnia rocks and stuff like that came in at that time. Once they did good, I just started moving the other stuff over, so acros and LPS.
For the time that you've had these corals in here, they're growing really fast. Do you feel like that's just because you're staying on top of your parameters, or do you feel like in big tanks like this, for some reason, like corals grow faster?
I think there's more stability in this higher volume of water, but you have to pay close attention, because if things go sideways, it's a big ship to get back on course, Yeah. And so I had a situation where something was going on, and I lost some monies and some chalices and had some acros kind of start to recede a little. And so I went through my checklist, did an ICP test, and then treated for bacteria infection. Once I did that, it stopped and killed whatever was, hammering stuff. But I think for the most part, it stays really consistent. The water temperature change never varies. It's like 77 all the time. And that's been really cool. Smaller tanks can fluctuate a little bit with seasons and different things, but this thing's pretty consistent.
And 77 is where you think things ought to be, or is it just because I often hear 78's the number, so is that just because?
So 77 for me, I used to think I grew less algae. It was a little colder.
Okay.
78, my understanding is you'll grow a little faster.
Okay.
So things will grow a little bit quicker. Everything metabolizes faster. 77 is where I try to keep it. So, and the speed of the growth is fine with me. It's doing fine. 76 too chilly. Plus, if you have to dive it, you got to make sure it's warm and tasty.
And you do dive this, right, to clean the glass, I remember. Do you still do that, or when's the last time you dove?
I got a really nice magnet.
Yeah.
And ever since I got the magnet, I haven't gone in there. So
I don't blame you. That would be a lot.
It is a lot. So my diving routine is I got to go shower, right, and scrub myself down. And then I barely fit in the sweatsuit because I'm carrying a little winter weight. And then I get in there, dude, and it's... it's a funny story. So I had like 3 hammer colonies zip tied to the back wall, and I had 3 more that I want to zip tie in some new spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after a 1-hour dive, I knocked 3 down and put 3 up, and I was net 0. And
yeah.
All that effort for nothing. And so like it's really hard. It's like a bull in a china shop because you have the big dive, the air cable, the air hose that comes up is like hitting stuff, and so I used to try to have a spotter up there kind of keeping it in the middle of the tank. I try not to dive it if I can help it. The fish freak out, they all hide, you know, I'm not in there enough to make them happy with me, so they all disappear. The ones that always stay out are the monos. So these dudes, they'll swim by your face mask, and those grunts, those flagtails, they'll stay out.
So you got any favorite fish in here?
I do. So probably the most unique one that I like the most is this white margin unicorn. He came from Australia. I got him when he was like a couple inches, and he'll grow to be 3 feet, which is really silly for a home aquarium. And so I like him because nobody has one of those. Like you see him once in a while at public aquariums, but that's about it.
For reference, he's about 1.5 feet right now. These are some of the biggest, biggest pygmy angels I've ever seen. Definitely some of the biggest tangs I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's some. This guy,
unbelievable
too. This guy you could fillet and feed a small family.
Yes, you could.
He's a yellowfin surgeon fish. I had a few fish that aren't with us today. I like those flag fins because they school. They're out all the time, and they add a lot of movement to the front of the tank. Even these monos school too, and they are always out. This is a cool one, this blue spine unicorn. He's from Hawaii. They don't come out of there much anymore. Then I have some clowns that breed. I've got some cardinals that breed in the back. I only have one angel in here right now. It's just a coral beady, but he's the size of a small bass.
Okay.
He's a pretty good size one.
Remind me again, how big's the system here?
So the dimensions are 10 by 10 by 8 feet deep. And then the total water volume for the whole system is 5,668 gallons.
Wow.
So there's plenty of water.
And this is an upgrade from the last tank, which actually sat right here.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything to do with the build here, but I did help remove the tank that was here. How big was that one? That one still wasn't. That wasn't tiny. That was 720
gallons.
I was gonna say.
So it was 8 by 3 by 4.
Took about 6 of us to move that. 6 big dudes,
beast, man.
What about casualties? I mean, you brought a ton of fish from years in the hobby into a 100-gallon tank. A lot of them came from that 700, 800-gallon setup you had. Did they all make it safely? Did you lose a few?
So the fish that I've lost, it's mainly been through aggression. I had a whole bunch of zebrasomas, so when I kicked off the tank, I had about 2 of everything. So I had 3 yellows, 2 sailfins, 2 scopus, 6 purples, a black tang. I think that's all the zebrasomas. And over time, between a couple of things and just aggression, I'm down to like 3 giant purples. So I had a purple take out my black. You can see they're fighting right now. They just
3 of them
constantly try to knock each other out. So they're. I also dosed lanthanum chloride a few times and had it kind of go in the system too fast, and I feel like that might have had an effect on some of the fish.
Got it. So what was that? And what was that for?
To drop the phosphates. So my phosphates are pretty high on this tank. They usually are about 1.
You feed your fish a lot. Does that have anything to do with it, or is it?
It does. Yeah. Okay. So I feed them a ton. I feel like it helps with aggression between the fish and keeps them from picking at corals. I got a few fish in here that do eat corals, and so try to feed them other stuff.
Corals are growing great though. So what are your parameters for keeping great corals, because this is like honestly one of the best balanced mixed reefs. It's like one of the truest mixed reefs I've ever seen. Lots of great LPS, SPS. You've got great softies and polyps here. What parameters are you running to keep everything happy like this?
So the basic ones, just from my most recent test, I have magnesium's at 1500, calcium's at 500, alkalinity is at 9.5. My phosphates are a little high at 1, but they're still okay. My nitrates are a little high at 50, which is really funny
Yeah.
when I say it, but it is what it is. And then I do an ICP test every once in a while. If I see something going sideways, I'll do an ICP test, and that's usually where I break down some of the smaller components, but that's about what I run.
What about favorite corals in here? You've got a lot of great choices. I've actually never asked you this. Like, what are your favorite corals? I'm an LPS guy because I always ask you where can I find the best torches. But what's your favorite? What is your favorite coral, and what's your favorite coral that you've got currently in here?
I think acros are my favorite.
Okay.
Although I have some LPS that are pretty cool, and I got a chalice that gets my attention.
Yeah.
So I've got a cool chalice up there.
The jelly bean chalice.
Yeah, and then even the torches nowadays are pretty cool because they're so flowy. There's one on the back wall back there that's just
that dragon soul
going crazy.
Amazing.
But this one of my longtime favorites is granulosa. It's just kind of green right now with some lighter blue growth tips. That's a really cool one. Micromusa is really cool.
This micromusa is amazing. I've wanted to snatch one of those myself. That's definitely on my list.
And then the lobo is super cool. The lobo and that clam was cool. But those rainbow acans are really cool too.
Now you said that your favorite was acros. Obviously, with acros, you got to keep great. You got to keep great consistent parameters, but you also need great lighting. So.
Yeah.
What lighting do you use for a tank this size?
So I have these big cannons that they use for public aquariums, and I have 9 of them. And then I have round of blue lights. I got UV specific XHO styled bulbs in there. But that's about it. I kind of do what I would do on a small tank. So. The blues turn on early, go for a couple hours. The whites, one bank of whites turn on for, it's usually an hour ahead of the second bank. Those run for about 7 hours, 8 hours, and then they turn off in a row by following each other by an hour. And then the blues stay on for another couple hours after that, and then the moons turn on. I have a bunch of moonlights in there, and then a single moonlight in the center. And so about 12 midnight, the moons turn off except for one. So
that's cool.
That one will run till 1 or 2 in the morning or something like that. I probably could dial in my lights a little better.
You've got some, so you got tons of great fish. What about, do you got any notable invertebrates or crabs, or I know you have an eel somewhere in here.
Yeah,
what kind of eel you got?
The golden dwarf moray eel in here.
Okay.
And I've had him for a handful of years now. It's really interesting. Me and a couple other fish buddies bought him all at the same time, and I thought I lost this guy recently because I found something that looked like it might have been him that was at the bottom of the tank, and then the other day I was feeding him big chunks of shrimp and I saw him sneak across. So he's living his best life. But I've got urchins in here. Those do a really good job of cleaning the wall. You can see one in the back there, and
I
you
think
can see
there's
that
one.
section.
I think there's one right there.
There's one right here. There's a big brittle star in here, just a big green
Oh
one.
yeah.
One of those. He's probably nabs a damsel here and there that I don't know about, but he's lurking around here somewhere. I have 2 harlequin shrimp in here as well. And
Oh yeah, love those.
They're
I was
giant, dude. I wish he was.
I would love to see that in this tank.
And then I have some big turbo snails, but keep getting knocked down and messed with. So.
And every time a turbo snail gets knocked down and lands on its back,
It does.
that's
man.
you who's got to go in there, right, and flip them over.
Yeah. I made a whole series of long-handled tools so that I can work on the tank from the top. And so I have 8 and 9 foot fiberglass 3/8" rods that I joined together and then put a net on the end of them. Or I have a couple of different things that I have an algae scraper, and I have a little acro twister. I don't even know what it's called, but it's just a couple of pieces of plastic that I can put over an acro and twist it, and it'll kind of cinch onto the acro, and you can lift it and set it somewhere else. That keeps me out of the tank.
In a year and a half, you've really done well coral growth wise.
Thanks.
Do you we talked about how you feed the fish a lot. Talk about what you feed the fish.
Okay, yeah.
And then do you feed corals? Do you believe in coral food or?
Yeah, so my fish feeding regimen, I have an auto feeder that's made for koi, and so I fill it with big pellets for these fish, and it goes off twice a day during work hours, and then when I get home from work I usually dice up anywhere from 12 to 14 full-size big shrimp from Costco, and then I cut them into all different size pieces so that all the fish can have a whack at it. The big ones get the big chunks and the small ones get the smaller chunks, and then right before I go to bed, I'll go up there with the kind of the lower lights on, and I'll dump in more pellets. I've got some bigger algae wafers that the big tangs like, and then I feed them 5 or 6 sheets of nori, sushi nori, and they kind of love that. So they're getting meaty food, pellets, and nori every single day. Coral wise, my main thing is feed the fish a ton, and they'll feed your corals for you. But I do try to mix in some benefits like coral food it's usually 2 times a week or 3 if I remember, but I'll let it soak back there for a while, and then while the lights are out I'll dump it in right before I shut it down for the night. But so I do feed them once in a while, but majority of the food's coming from the fish probably. The acros too, when the lights go out, they look amazing top down.
Yeah,
They're really cool.
We should actually go look at that top down. Let's go ahead and take a look.
This is the catwalk.
Got your own stairwell here.
Yeah, this is the drain for when I dive. There's a drain connected to that.
That was smart.
I can drip tray it out.
Done a really good job at that.
But you can see the polyp extension on that acrid colony right there. That's super cool. There's some good stuff happening.
Yeah, these acros honestly look incredible. What are these guys called again? The kind of the rainbow looking ones?
There's a rainbow loon.
Okay.
And then there's blue raven, blastos right there. There's a whole bunch of different stuff mixed in there. This is Aquapora Florida, this bright green one, and Oregon Tort. This is a Bill Murray or something. They've all got names.
There's so many nuggets back here. Like,
and there's that jelly bean chalice. See that jelly bean right there?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's a great one.
This is a great view because like you can see so much more. Like even down, like you can appreciate some of the stuff that's like down here that like you can't even see from like the other sides.
It's gonna be cool. I think it'll get to that point where I'll actually just have to take rocks out and put my new favorite stuff in. Yeah, looking from the top down, I can see like 10 things I want to move.
Yeah.
The big thought for me too was trying to be able to service it, right? So like I wanted to leave this whole sack area open.
Yeah.
And then an open space around the whole front to walk. So I have a 2-foot gap between the glass and the front edge of the rock.
Yep.
Although it fills in fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not gonna be there forever. No way. Did you have to go out and find any more rock, or is this all rock that you had from previously in the hobby?
So I had a couple thousand pounds, and then I bought like 4,000 pounds. So there's probably 6,000 or 7,000 pounds in here.
Man.
Dude, when these guys put water on your face, it's never fun.
It's funny that they're big enough they can do that. It's just...
Dude, there's a few in here that just look stupid big. Look at this guy surface feed.
Yeah.
Watch him stick his horn out of the water.
That's so funny.
See him. It's so sick.
It's like reaching.
See that one over there?
Yeah.
And it's only going to get better because I'm kicking on that giant calcium reactor. I can't wait to get that going.
Oh, yeah.
The acros will respond really good. It'll get more strontium into the water and some other things. And so far, this growing the whole thing was just calclosser. Yeah, we got a calcium reactor. I got the carbon reactor.
I was gonna ask if you had a carbon reactor.
Yeah, big ones over there, and then I used to run GFO on one side of it. I have a sulfur denitrator that I'm just kicking off, so I'm trying to drop my nitrates. My nitrates sit about 55.
Okay.
So it's pretty high, 60.
Okay.
And I would love to get those down even half of your ad to see what would happen. My phosphates are super high right now. They're at 1. Straight up 1, which is not great. But most corals don't mind so much, but I know there's some that hate that idea.
Speaking of nitrates, like where's what skimmer do you use? Where's that?
Yeah, I'll do this body on it. So that's the skimmer. I have
And you're saying you need a skimmer even bigger than that eventually?
Yeah, so I bought one that has a 2-inch body, a 2-foot body that fits in the spot. So my recreation makes one that would slide right in. It's like 15 grand, so I haven't bought it yet. But it would treat twice as much water at a time. So this one's like tapped out at like probably about 3,000 to 4,000 gallons. And I'm knocking at 5.5, 6. So I could use better skimming. I could use more UV. This is the only UV that I'm running. It's 150 watt.
So you go from it passes through the UV and then directly into the skimmer.
Yeah.
That's
so I actually had to build that custom for me because I thought it was such a good idea because it nukes everything coming in and then skims it out, right? And then I just got the 10 filter sock, so that's in here. It's kind of cool. You can see the flow rate, which is pretty awesome. See how much fluid going by?
Yeah. How much water realistically do you need to auto top this? Like,
so the whole system probably uses about 22 gallons or 25 gallons a day.
okay.
Evaporates. And then I just turn that on to fill up my auto top off. I have a 220 gallon barrel of RO water that just gravity feeds the stuff.
Okay.
So it's pretty sick.
And this you use for filtration?
So yeah, so basically the filtration goes like this. So one of the drains gravity feeds the skimmer. So if you're a fish and you go down that drain, you've lost. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
The other two feed the filter socks.
Okay.
So skimmer, filter socks, live rock. It goes through the wall. It goes through the media reactors, sulfur denitrator. These are the 2 carbon reactors.
Okay.
This is the new calcium reactor I'm putting online. And then you got the calcosser drip going right into the intakes to pump it back into the show.
Okay.
You got some mangroves growing down there, some calampus, some other algae.
Saw that.
An opposite life cycle.
Okay.
Of a big reef. These are just kind of holding tanks for fish. If I get corals from somebody, they'll usually go in QT and then go in here to get used to the tank water.
I was gonna ask, are any of these tanks like completely independent of the rest of your system?
Breeder, there's a 20 with a bunch of chromis in it right now down there, and a 6 line.
Okay.
So those 2 are totally offline for brand new stuff. I'm not taking any new corals or like buying new corals or anything. So the only ones I did get is from Neil. He's a buddy that hasn't added a coral to his tank for like 6 years. And so it looks amazing,
Yeah.
right? So like I feel pretty
Yeah.
good about that. But it'll still get a dip and a treat. There's another one of those rainbow hammers up there.
Yeah. No, I recognized this one when I saw it. This
Little flame angel just go in the show tank.
yeah.
There's a maculosus angel in here. He's like super cool. Travis sent it to me.
I see him, yeah.
This is my 300 gallon water change barrel. So I can take this offline and then drain it, mix brand new salt water, 300 gallons, and then flush it through the whole system.
Yeah.
This is my RODI top off.
Is it when you're doing water changes, is 300 gallons the number? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
And how often do you do them?
I haven't done any yet. It's been a year and a half almost. So these 2 tanks back there are going to be for coral frags.
That's awesome.
And then this is going to be for holding bigger fish and angels, whatever.
Yep.
This is going to be coral frags. These will just be for fish. Yeah, man.
You built all this woodwork too. You did all of this.
Yeah, it's a DIY effort, man. The whole thing. So when I look at it, I can appreciate what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
Have that windows open all the time. It sucks in fresh, clean air. This fan sucks it from this room to that room, and then I have an exhaust fan on the window behind the tank that sucks all that moisture air out of there. So I run about 55 percentage humidity in here. There's no condensation on anything because it just is
Right.
constant.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was noting that this thing is impeccably dry.
Yeah, it's you got it. I basically have a pool in my house. You know?
Yeah.
Then another funny thing is I put a towel under the door so that my teenage kids over here that spray themselves up with Axe before the date night,
Oh yeah.
it doesn't suck into this room, dude. Because this is like a negative pressure with those fans. So I keep this thing under here to keep all the Axe in this room and not in the tank room.
Man.